Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to Temple Emeth and to our Shabbat Morning Service. I welcome you here to the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary in Teaneck, New Jersey. If you're joining us on live stream this morning, Bruchim Habaim to you. I'm so glad you joined us. And I wanted to let you know that now is the perfect time to bring your Sidur, Mishkan Tefillah, to your screen or your device. And that way you can follow along with our service and be on every page number and join in with every song and prayer of our service this morning. Also, if you're joining us on live stream, I hope you'll take a moment to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. It can be your name, your location, Shabbat Shalom, or some other greeting that shows your fellow online worshipers that you are there. And in doing so, we form bonds of virtual community together. And Bruchim Habaim to those of you who are here in the sanctuary this morning, you know where to find your Sidur. Hopefully there's one just right in front of your seat so that you can be a full participant in our service this morning here in person as well. I invite you to turn in the Sidur to page 192. On page 192, we find our opening song. Please join us as Cantor Tillum leads us in singing Matovu. Page 194 as we join together in a blessing, thanking God for the miracle of the human body. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh kol basar umafli la'asot. We turn on page 196 and we join together in the blessing, thanking God for the soul. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher be'ezo nefesh kol chai, v'ruach kol basar ish. We turn now to page 198, and we join together in the Nisim B'chol Yom, which begin here and continue on the next few even-numbered pages.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'sech avivina le'avchin ben yom u'ben layla. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ma'bir ashurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Zokef kifufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Amechin b'tzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Anotin laya'ef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Amavir shina meinai u'uma me'al papai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shasani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shasani bat chorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shasani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Oter Yisrael b'tifara.
We turn to page 204, where we join together in the blessing for the study of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel, may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamelamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. We turn now to page 206, and we offer an excerpt of Torah in fulfillment of the blessing. We read together, "These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all." We turn now to page 215, where we find Ashrei. Cantor, you've been back from your sabbatical for almost a month now, but between having a bar mitzvah and me being away, this is our first time to do Ashrei together.
I was thinking the same thing that you're saying. Yes, I agree. I'm going to follow along with my finger and make it work.
We join together chanting responsively in Ashrei. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od yehalelucha selah.
Ashrei ham shekachalo, Ashrei ham she'Adonai Elohai.
Tehillah leDavid aromimcha Elohai hamelech v'avarcha shimcha leolam va'ed.
B'chol yom avarcheka v'halala shimcha leolam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai u'mehulah me'od v'ligdulato ein cheker.
Dor lador shabach ma'asecha u'gvuratecha yagidu.
Hadar kavod hodecha v'divrei niflotecha asicha.
Ve'zuz noratecha yomeru u'gdulatcha asaprana.
Zecher rav tuvcha yabi'u v'tzidkatcha yiranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai erech apayim u'dol chesed.
Tov Adonai lakol v'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha v'chasidecha yivachuka.
Kevod malchutcha yomeru u'gvuratecha yidaberu.
Leodia livnei adam gvurotav uchvod adar malchuto.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador.
Somech Adonai lechol anochlim v'zochef lechol akfufim.
Einei chol elecha yisaberu v'ata noten lehem et ochlam be'ito.
Poteach et yadecha u'maspia lechol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav v'chasid b'chol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai lechol korav lechol asher yikra'u ve'emet.
Ritzon Yereav Ya'aseh v'et Shabbatam Yishma v'yoshiyem.
Shomer Adonai et kol oavav et kol hashayim yashmi.
Tilat Adonai davar pi v'varech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'ed.
Va'anachnu nivarech ya me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah.
We turn now to page 223. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu, you shall always be praised, great and holy God, our sovereign in heaven and on earth. Songs of praise and songs of adoration become you, acknowledging your might and your dominion. Yours are strength and sovereignty, sanctity, grandeur, and glory always. We offer our devotion, open our hearts in acclamation. Baruch atah Adonai, el melech gadol batish bachot, el hahodaot adon haniflaot, habocher b'shirei zimra, melech elchei ha'olamim. Praised are you, sovereign of wonders, crowned in adoration, delighting in song, eternal majesty.
Yitkadal, Yitkadal Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'amad v'rach irutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayei chon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'gala u'bizman kariv v'immeru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam le'olam haya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitomam v'yitnaseh v'yitalal Shemei v'kudusha b'richu le'lam kol b'chata b'shirata tush b'chata b'nechemata Tamira Melma V'immeru. Amen.
Please rise if you are able for the Baruch Hu, found on page 226.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uvorei choshech, Oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim, Uftuvo mechadesh b'chol yom, Tamid ma'aseh v'reishi. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, Kulam b'chochma asita, Mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha, Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, Al shebach ma'aseh yadecha, Ve'al me'orei or she'asita yefa'arucha sela, Or chadash al Zion ta'ir, V'niskei chulanu meheira le'oro, Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer ha'me'orot. Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'b'chol nefshecha u'b'chol mildecha ve'ayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'b'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shachvecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha ve'ayu letotavot beinenecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We turn now to page 238. For us this eternal teaching is true and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good, and beautiful. The God of the universe is truly our sovereign, the rock of Jacob, our protecting shield. God endures through all generations. God's name persists. God's throne is firm. God's sovereignty and faithfulness last forever. God's words live and endure, faithful and precious for eternity. Together, from Egypt you redeemed us, freeing us from bondage. For that your beloved sang songs of praise, exalting you. Your dear ones offered hymns, songs, praise, blessing, and thanksgiving to you as sovereign, the living and enduring God, high and exalted, great and awesome. God ever humbles the proud, raises the lowly, frees the imprisoned, redeems the afflicted, helps the oppressed, answering our people when we cry out. Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. In great joy, Moses, Miriam, and Israel responded with song to you, all of them proclaiming. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. We rise for this.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Akol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, u'Mevei Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shema B'Yava, Melech Ozer, U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Akol Atarab Le'Oshia, Mashiv Aruach U'Marit Agashem, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei Akol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umikayem Emunata Lishenei Afar, Mikamocha B'al Guros, Umidam Helach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei maro. Kakatuv al yad nevi'echa v'karazeh el zeh ve'amar.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech haaretz kivodo.
Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu, V'ahir shimcha b'chol haaretz.
Baruch kivod Adonai mimikomo.
Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Mosheinu, hu yashmeinu brachamav le'enei kol chai, ani Adonai Elohechem.
Yimelech Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, l'dor v'dor. Hallelujah. L'dor v'dor. L'dor v'dor. L'dor v'dor. Nagid kol lecha. L'dor v'dor. L'dor v'dor. L'dor v'dor. Nagid kol lecha. Ulenetach netachim. Kedushatcha nakdish. Kedushatcha nakdish. V'shivach Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush. Le'olam le'olam. Va'ed. L'dor v'dor. L'dor v'dor. L'dor v'dor. Nagid kol lecha. L'dor v'dor. L'dor v'dor. L'dor v'dor. Nagid kol lecha. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. We turn now to page 250, and to honor Shabbat, we look to the middle of the page and join in singing Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael, Vishamru et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, L'dorotam brit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, uti leolam. Lasot et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat leolam. Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash.
We turn now the Siddur to page 255. We read together in the middle of the page. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer to life, to peace, and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness. Restrain our thirst for excess, and cleanse our hearts to serve life well. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer in life, in peace, and in joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'odcha levadecha b'yir'ah na'avod. And we turn to page 259, where we join together in a prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael. Ba shalom. We take a moment now for Tefillat Halev, the opportunity to offer to God the prayer of our hearts. Inspirational readings for this moment are found on pages 260 and 261.
Shalom bimromav. Yaseh shalom. Ose shalom. Shalom bimromav. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Aseh shalom, shalom bimromav. Yaseh shalom. Wose shalom, shalom bimromav. Yaseh shalom.
We turn now to page 363, where we find our Torah service, Seder Kriyat HaTorah. Happy is the one who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. For its value is greater than silver, its yield than fine gold. It is more precious than rubies, no treasure can match it. We continue in the middle of the next page. Please rise if you are able as we take the Torah from the ark.
Adonai Tzvaot Hu Melech HaKavod. Selah.
In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Ti, Shema Yahdav. Lecha Adonai HaGedula ve'Hagevura ve'Tiferet ve'Hanetzach ve'Had. Ki chol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Ki chol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha
Please be seated. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Mishpatim, which we find in the book of Exodus. Parashat Mishpatim has a number of seemingly unconnected laws. I think that what connects them is the idea that the law should promote people's dignity, that the law should uphold a certain sense of fairness and justice and an affirmation of humanity. And so while they all are on different topics, they all have, in my view, a common theme. And so the more specific theme of the 9 verses that I'm going to read have to do with honesty and fairness, the idea of not spreading a false rumor, not telling a lie, the idea that a judicial system should be balanced and not favor one party over the other. These are all concepts which are not new to us, but they deserved a specific mention and an affirmation in this week's Torah portion. And so that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to be reading from Exodus chapter 23, beginning with verse 1. And you can find that in the large blue Torah commentary books that are here in the sanctuary, beginning on page 580. Page 580. And if you are watching on live stream from home and you have a copy of the revised Torah commentary that you are referring to at home, you can find this same section, Exodus chapter 23, verse 1, in the revised Torah commentary on page 519. Once again, page 519. To honor the Torah with the Aliyah, it's my pleasure to call upon Wendy Filowitz. Okay, put your hand right here, Wendy. And let me find my spot. I found it. Okay, we're ready. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
ונתן לנו את תורתו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן, אמן, לא תישא שם השווא, אל תשד ידך עם רשע, להיות עד חמאס, לא תהיה אחרי רבים, לרעות, ולא תענה על ריב, לנטות אחרי רבים להטות, ודל לא תהדר בריבו, כי תפגע שור אויבך, או חמורו טוען, השב תשיבנו לו, כי תראה חמור שונאך רובץ תחת מסעו, וחדלת מעזוב לו, עזוב תעזוב עמו, לא תטה משפט אביונך בריבו, מדבר שקר תרחק, ונקי וצדיק אל תהרוג, כי לא אצדיק רשע, ושוחד לא תיקח, כי השוחד יעבר פיקחים, ויסלף דברי צדיקים, וגר לא תלחץ, ואתם יראתם את נפש הגר, כי גרים הייתם בארץ מצרים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בחותנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. This time our thoughts turn to those in need of healing as we prepare to offer a Mishaberach for healing, which is found in the Siddur on page 371. If you are thinking of someone in need of healing and you're watching us on live stream, I invite you to share the name of your loved one in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. And if you are here in the sanctuary and you are thinking of someone in need of healing, I invite you to share their name out loud or in your heart at this time. 71, please join with us in singing the Mishaberach.
To make our lives a blessing. the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue now with the lifting and dressing of the Torah, which is found at the bottom of page 370. Please rise if you are able for Hagba and Galila. Okay, you're going to stand up and move to the side because I need a straight path to the chair. Okay. Please be seated. The Haftarah portion for today is one of the special portions for the 6 weeks leading up to Passover, which means that it's less than 6 weeks until Passover. Don't worry, you've got time to see how expensive Passover food is this year. And speaking of the cost of stuff, this special Torah portion is called shkalim. Shkalim were the unit of money, or the unit of weight that our ancestors used, and so it was at this time of year that our ancestors would pay their annual tax to the sanctuary, and so to mark this occasion in the fiscal year of ancient Israel, we have a special Haftarah portion. And there are two things that stood out to me this year about the Haftarah portion. One was that it seems like the priests who are supposed to be in charge of maintenance of the temple had just gotten lazy about it. They had rested on their laurels, and it took an outside person to come and say, you haven't done anything wrong because you haven't done anything. So not only was the responsibility for the upkeep of the temple then shifted to a different group of people, but responsibility for the funds that are needed for the upkeep of the temple also shifted to them. So it is a matter of sort of public responsibility, but it's also a matter of transparency and honesty, as we expect all public funds to be administered with a certain sense of transparency and honesty, and that the people responsible for spending them are also the people responsible for keeping track of them. It's not a perfect system, because at the end it says that they didn't keep the closest records. And so we have to infer from that they didn't keep the closest records because they had a deep system of trust involved. And yet I think the lessons regarding honesty and trust and the way that the public related to this whole enterprise because of that, I think those are very lasting lessons even today. Okay, so all of these special Torah portions are at the back of the Torah commentary, whether you are here or watching on live stream. So if you're here in the sanctuary, the Haftarah for Shkalim is on page 1647, page 1647. And if you are watching on live stream and you have a revised Torah commentary, then you can find the same section on page 1451, page 1451 in the revised Torah commentary. And to honor us with the recitation of the Haftarah, we call upon Marilyn Shapiro. Okay, Marilyn, so here is your blessing, and right here is your Haftarah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv harabim tovi.
Start again. Okay, so Asher B'char B'Nvi'im Tovi.
Asher b'tar b'nvi'im tovi. V'ratzah b'divreihem hana'amarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai bocher b'torah Moshe Abdo Yisrael Amo Uvneihem Emet Batzedek.
We can move the books and things right where you're going to want it.
Yoash said to the priest, all the money, current money, brought into the house of the Lord as sacred donations, any money a man may pay as the money equivalent of persons, or any other money that a man may be minded to bring to the house of the Lord, let the priests receive it, each from his benefactor. They, in turn, shall make repairs on the house wherever the damage may be found. But in the 23rd year of King Jehoash, it was found that the priests had not made the repairs on the house. So King Jehoash summoned the priests, Jehoiada, and the other priests said to them, why have you not kept the house in repair? Now, do not accept money from your benefactors any more, but have it donated for the repair of the house. The priests agreed that they would neither accept money from the people nor make repairs to the house. And the priest Jehoiada took a chest and bored a hole in its lid. He placed it in the right side of the altar as one entered the house of the Lord. And the priestly guards of the threshold deposited there all the money that was brought into the house of the Lord. Whenever they saw that there was much money in the chest, the royal scribe and the high priest would come up and put the money accumulated in the house of the Lord into bags, and they would count it. Then they would deliver the money that was weighed out to the overseers of the work who were in charge of the house of the Lord. These, in turn, used to pay the carpenters and the laborers who worked on the house of the Lord, and the masons and the stonecutters. They also paid for wood and for quarried stone with which to make the repairs on the house of the Lord, and for every other expenditure that had to be made for the repairing of the house. However, no silver bowls and no snuffers, basins, or trumpets, no vessels of gold or silver were made at the house of the Lord from the money brought into the house of the Lord. This was given only to the overseers of the work for the repair of the house of the Lord. No check was kept on the men to whom the money was delivered to pay the workers, for they dealt honestly. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'olamim, tzaddik b'kol ha'dorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer b'yomseh ha'ma'ariv ber kayem. Shekol Devorah Emet Batzedek. Al HaTorah v'al HaVodah v'al HaNivi'im v'al Yom HaShabbat Hatzei Shenatata Lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Likdusha v'likma nucha lekavod ulivarech al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anenu mikol loch umkarcha ota bit barach shema befi kol chai tamid li'olam va'ed baruch ata Adonai mikadesh b'shabbat.
We continue now as we prepare to return the Torah to the Ark. We turn to page 374 in the Siddur. Please rise if you're able. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado.
Hodaras b'shamayim v'yaren kerem tehillah l'kol chasidav livnei Yisrael am kirova. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavo leharkacha. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavo leharkacha. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavo leharkacha. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavo leharkacha. Etz chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushar derecheha daichenam v'chol netivoteh shalom shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha b'nashuvah kadesh yameinu kekedem.
Please be seated. In Exodus chapter 18, in last week's Torah portion, Moses follows his father-in-law Jethro's advice and appoints judges to help him hear cases and settle disputes. We learn from that portion the qualifications that Jethro recommends for these judges. They are to be Anshe Chayil, Yirei Elohim, Anshe Emeth, Sonei Vatzah, capable individuals who fear God, trustworthy ones who spurn ill-gotten gain. This is just weeks after the Israelites had been redeemed from Egypt. Until then, the only state authority they knew was the Pharaoh, who abused his power and consistently contradicted himself. When the Israelites left Egypt under Moses' authority, they quickly asked to go back. They didn't trust that he was any different than Pharaoh, and that he would keep his promise to bring them to the promised land. Thinking that they would die in the desert, they pled to be brought back to the land of their enslavement, because at least the food would be better there. Yitro was not present for that episode, but when he does finally meet up with Moses and his family, he sees that Moses needs assistance. But every crisis, they say, is also an opportunity. On the surface, the judges who are recruited to work with Moses are simply there to lighten the workload on Moses. But on a deeper level, they serve an important ethical and theological function. The authority of the state will now be based on truth and trust. And only people who already have that reputation will be qualified for office. Fast forward to this week's portion, especially the section I read out loud. If Parashat Yitro is the qualifications of Israelite judges, then Parashat Mishpatim reads like a code of conduct. It relates to hearsay, admissibility of evidence, and impartiality. These are intended to give the average Israelite confidence in the system, that justice is not merely a slogan, but something that is offered from every judge. Remember that the judiciary was the first state institution. There was no legislature, no public works department, no department of vehicles. There was not even a priesthood yet, though that would come shortly after. There were elders, but as far as I can tell, they simply offered advice. They had no formal role and no authority. So the judges appointed by Moses would set the expectation that state institutions would gain legitimacy through fairness and truth. Today, of course, we have many more institutions of statehood. We have a legislative and executive branch, along with the judiciary. We have think tanks, NGOs, and a financial system, including a treasury and a mint. Each one of these carefully works to maintain the trust of the people, because without it, their work would be diminished and there would be broad implications. Imagine if people started doubting whether their taxes actually made it to the treasury. There might be a crisis of faith and withholding of taxes from the state. In fact, the special haftarah for this Shabbat, Shkalim, touches on the very issue of the transparency of public funds and the protections in place to ensure that the money intended for the temple reaches the temple. King Yehoash is so concerned about this that he changes the system of funding repairs, even though it may be unpopular with the priesthood. Another important institution of modern statehood is the press. They cannot rely on rumor and must pursue the truth. The press keeps people informed. They tell stories that powerful people often don't want told. Like the judiciary, their currency is truth and trust, because it is the only path to legitimacy. And likewise, we as citizens should be granting legitimacy not based on what we want to hear, but what we need to hear to engage thoughtfully with the world. This is why the revelations from the defamation lawsuit by Dominion Voting Systems against Fox News are so troubling. While on the air, everyone could see that Fox News was casting doubt on the results of the 2020 election. But behind the scenes, several of Fox's biggest names had doubts about this story. Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, and Sean Hannity promoted ideas on the air that they themselves did not believe. But here's the key part when it comes to the Torah portion. They felt they had to lie in order to keep their audience. Their audience was so mad at them for telling the truth when they called Arizona for Joe Biden that to keep them from drifting away to another conservative network, they repeated rumors and brought on guests that they themselves did not believe. In other words, when it came to the results of the 2020 election, Fox News was putting on a show. To hang on to their audience, their mission ceased to be information and instead became entertainment. It is a crisis of integrity that Fox's audience would be angry when told the truth, and an even bigger crisis that Fox responded by saying things they knew were false in order to regain their so-called credibility. The legitimacy of a news organization was turned upside down. According to the Torah, court proceedings must have a system to elicit the truth and shun rumors. We know that the news media must have something similar. When your reputation rests on your integrity, pursuing the truth must be worked into everything you do. Shabbat Shalom. We continue now with the Aleinu, which is found in the Siddur on page 586 at the bottom of the page. Please rise if you are able for the Aleinu.
Aleinu leshabeach vadon hakol latei gdula yotzer breshit shelo asar kigoye aratzot velo samanu kmishpot adama shelo samchalkeinu kahan v'gar aleinu kechol amonam v'anachnu korim u'nishtachvim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech kol haaretz v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shema echad.
We remain standing for the Mourner's Kaddish. A reading to introduce the Mourner's Kaddish is found in the Siddur on page 593. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we're in the Shloshim 30-day period of mourning. Albert Bortnick, cousin of Carol Bratman, Elaine Siebert, grandmother of Kendall Seidenary, and Herbert Besson, husband of Julia Besson. We remember as well those whose yard sites occurred this week: Frank K. Adler, Maurice S. Austin, Reuben Ezra Blumenfeld, Della Isaacs Brown, Latchy Epstein, Hyman Gordon, Sid Grossman, Eli Hodges, Harry Herstein, Sophie Kaminer, Edith Kane, Aaron Kirsch, Ann Kirschenbaum, Brenda Klotz, Ann Quate, Jacqueline Quate, Seymour Letterman, Sarah Lenny, Paul Moravnik, Simi Berman Niels, Neil Pape, Ruth Passval, Robert Perlis, Anna R. Prus, Natalie Rosen, Stanton Sachs, Oscar Martin Shupetsky, Jean Silber, Sylvester E. Silverberg, Edward Smolin, Bernie Spees, Andrew Tillen, Miriam Ween, and Samuel Benjamin Yaffe. We remember the victims of last week's terrorist attack, car ramming in Jerusalem: Alter Shlomo Lederman, age 20, Yaakov Israel Pali, age 6, and Asher Menachem Pali, age 8. We remember the victims of the mass shooting this week at Michigan State University: Ariel Anderson, a sophomore, Brian Frazier, a sophomore, Alexandria Werner, a junior. And we remember the victims of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria 2 weeks ago. The death toll in this tragedy has now reached 45,000. We remember the names of 6 of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust: Ursula Becker of Lithuania, age 17, Esther Becker of Poland, age 14, Berla Berger of Yugoslavia, age 5, Edith Berger of Czechoslovakia, age 12, Eva Berger of the Soviet Union, age 9, and Anisha Berger of the Soviet Union, age 11. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own as we turn now to page 598 and we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'yizman kariv imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mivorach leolam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemeid kudsha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Stephanie Stokes, a member of our Board of Trustees, to offer Shabbat greetings and announcements. Okay, write your own copy. Prepared.
Yes.
All right. We're all set.
All right, Shabbat Shalom. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our Shabbat morning service. Adult Ed Mini University resumes next Tuesday, February 21st at 8 p.m. in the library and on Zoom. The class until 1:20, Jewish Insights on Death and Mourning, will be taught by Cantor Telem. She will discuss death from a Jewish perspective and explore traditional burial and shiva customs through a modern lens. Cantor Telem explores the journey of grief with Temple members who have experienced the loss of a friend or family member. The Kinship of Sorrow meets in the family room each Wednesday at 5 p.m. and uses song, study, and discussion to help those experiencing a personal loss to move forward. With Purim around the corner, invite your friends and their kids for Hum and Tush and Bake here at the Temple on Sunday, February 26th, starting at 11 a.m. Please RSVP to Rachel Kugelmass by February 22nd. Join us for a town hall meeting at 9 a.m. on Sunday, March 5th in the Social Hall to learn about recent updates and developments of the Strategic Planning Steering Committee. On Monday, March 6th, join us for a raucous and hilarious celebration of Judaism's silliest holiday. Our service will feature the Rabbi and Cantor in costume, the retelling of the Esther story, Esther story, and music by Eitz Haim. New this year, immediately following the service, everyone is invited to our Purim Carnival, featuring games and snacks. No tickets are required, only your Purim energy. Our annual Megillah reading will start at 7 p.m., followed by the carnival around 8 p.m. And thank you this morning's volunteers in the live stream room. Michael and Gail Goldberg are at the controls this morning. Shabbat Shalom.
We continue now with the Kiddush, which is found, in case you need the words, it's found on page 604, but the best part is just singing along. So please rise for the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim.
L'chaim. And we join together in the Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
We have reached the end of our service. If you've been watching us on live stream, it's your last chance to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. You can say what your favorite song was, or maybe your favorite insight in our tradition, or you can simply post the same words that we in the sanctuary will offer to one another. As we conclude our service, we turn to one another and we say, Shabbat Shalom.